Glenn Dawson. We are back with part two because we ended the last one. It was just too juthy, ended talking a little bit about porn and what it can do to you, what it can do to men in general. So I really want to touch back up on the porn thing. I think porn, it can be very addicting, and it's instant gratification, and it gives us giant dopamine hits, which is another reason why it's addicting. It can warp our sexual expectations. There's a lot to porn and what it does to men in society. And I kind of wanted to get your thoughts because where we left off last pod.
Did we include any of the stuff from last podcast in about the porn?
Yeah, I left it as like a cliffhanger.
All right, cool. So, I don't have any clinical research for this. I'm sure there is. All I have is like my own personal story. But I've desensitized myself with porn so much that like I couldn't even have an orgasm with my girlfriend who was hot at the time. And like we were long distance, and I just remember she couldn't compete against my stepmom slash teacher who's stuck in a washer machine and like also happens to be like huge boobs, massive ass, like there's just no way. In the storyline, like everything else that you could get and then get it that fast. And so I would masturbate, 3-4 times a week, which isn't even like that crazy. Some people are like, dude, those are small numbers. You got to pump those numbers up, dude. But just the amount that it got to, like it had to keep getting more racy. It had to keep getting more devious for me to have an orgasm. So then with my human being in person girlfriend who's hot, it wasn't the same. I couldn't get off. And it's like she's competing against all these storylines, all these images, the grip of my super strong right hand, like that knows exactly what I want and when I want it, it's very difficult, to take that over. And it was a sick time for me too. I remember going to sleep with just images in my head, replaying over and over and over again of just naked chicks boning, moaning and screaming and stuff. And every once in a while, like probably like once or twice a year, I'll like go back down and relapse and go down the porn rabbit hole. Not perfect. But so we just had a child, 8 weeks ago. So I've definitely masturbated since before my wife was fully healed. But I try to use imagination as much as I possibly can. And so I'm still like desensitized to her own physical touch. Like, I don't know about you, but I've noticed the longer I go without intercourse, the hornier I get. And then it becomes all consuming. It's like all I can think about. Like I'm a savage animal that has to have sex. And it makes me unhealthy because instead of thinking about my goals or thinking about work, like 24/7 thoughts of like boning chicks goes through my head. And then the quality of chicks that I envision boning goes down. I'll see a normal girl at the gym who's like a chubby girl that I would never in a million years imagine having sex with. And I'll do horrible, unspeakable things to that woman. And it's just this unhealthy mindset that's just like going there. I used to shame myself for it too. Cause I thought these impure thoughts weren't Christian and weren't good. But now I've realized that those are just thoughts. Like they're going to happen. They're going to pop up. I don't have to act on them ever. And I'm not a bad person for having thoughts like that. It doesn't make me defective or a terrible person. I'm still a great person. There's just hormones that go through my head. So to clear my head, like I'll still masturbate, especially when my wife can't have sex.
Sure.
But I'll use imagination for the most part. It's like imagination. This is embarrassing, but imagination of like previous girls that I've had sex with or my own life. So if you're an ex-girlfriend of mine, I've probably masturbated to you like numerous times, which is like
Oh my
super
gosh.
embarrassing. Um, and I've masturbated to my wife, which is like also hilarious because you're like your own wife, dude. You can have that whenever you want. Not when she has a kid. Not when the doctor doesn't release her.
So, how do you think that even does it have an impact on your relationship with her? Like,
Not having sex.
no, do you think it has an impact on her if she's like, hey, gotcha whacking it in the bathroom? I was wondering why you were taking a 20-minute poop when you just pooped an hour ago.
Dude, I've been caught masturbating so many times that like
Okay,
it's
so
just a
yeah,
thing.
so how does that impact
Not
your
by her.
guys'
My
relationship
parents
or
caught me
no?
like 4 or 5 times, dude. I was a very, very horny teen. Very horny. I like the risks I took were just unspeakable, dude. I remember masturbating in like a sixth grade science class because all my buddies thought it was funny. And we would just do it in science class. That's like how horny it was. I would masturbate when my parents were in another room on the couch with a blanket.
Hmm. Okay.
Yeah, it's another level, Jesse. It's like a vicious viral wolf that like needs to eat and hasn't eaten anything in forever with rabies. Like it's a different level, dude. Like constantly, all the time, need to. I remember when I was single, like this isn't to brag, but most men have trouble getting laid. I didn't have that. Like I would have sex 7, 8 times. I had sex more when I was single than I do now. It's just wild. Most people can't fathom that, but it was like, you know, you just schedule different girls on different days and your appetite gets met. So like, how is my wife supposed to keep up with that? You know, every single day, multiple times, like it's a difficult sexual appetite. So, um, she hasn't like said that she's got me, but she's for sure caught me. I know she has. Like she's had to have. We've been together for over 10 years. So she's had to have.
So I just released a post like maybe 2 days ago about if men want sex more with their partners. And again, this doesn't apply to every couple, but it applies to I definitely think it applies to the average married couple because the average married couple statistically has sex once a week. And I have sex on average almost every day, you know? And so I put in this video. If you want more sex, you need to actually have a conversation with your wife. Say, I need it every 48 hours, every 24, every this. However, but just having those open conversations.
What'd you guys
Uh,
do when your son was born?
oh, dude. So we actually had a midwife. We didn't go to a traditional doctor. We're straight, full on hippie, whatever.
I
Our
know.
last son was born in our living room. Okay. But she said the whole sex thing in 8 weeks is based on like your healing. She's like, if you feel comfortable enough to try it at 6 weeks, you can. If you feel comfortable enough to try it at 7 weeks, you can. So I was asking every day, do you feel ready? Do you feel ready? Do you feel ready?
Yeah.
Until the day that she finally was like, we can try this as slow as possible as you can. And but I guess I looked at it as like that's such a small window into all the other aspects.
But how long did you end up going?
Oh, I don't know, maybe 6 weeks each time.
What'd you do for those 6 weeks?
Freaking try to distract myself as much as possible.
Yeah. So you have the same animal in you then too.
Well,
Um,
yeah, because I mean, this isn't about like a who does what, but like in elementary school, I would be jerking off in the bathroom.
yeah,
I
dude.
was, for some
You have
reason,
two
I
boys
started,
too. That's so funny. I
dude.
told my wife this stuff and she's like, I can't believe that. I'm like, just wait till our son gets to like 11. It's going to be all the time.
Yeah, No, it is. And it's one of those things where because I work from home, my wife's a stay-at-home mom. It'll be she'll like walk by and it's like 11:30 a.m. and I'm like waving her into my office like where are the boys? And she's like they're outside playing what? And she's like, "Oh, you have that look on your face." It's like, "Think it's possible?"
Yeah, I don't think our wives understand how hot they are when they're just walking around the house. Like
They
if you're
don't.
wearing um like yoga shorts or like spandex shorts, dude, and your ass looks good, I'm horny all the time and I want you all the time. She's like, I had a kid 8 weeks ago. Dude, you look so fine to me. You look so sexy to me. Like I
And
need it.
I'm
No, she's like, you want it again? You had it yesterday. I'm like, yeah. Like I don't, ours is like 3 to 4 times a week. Once a week, I'll go crazy. I'll lose my mind, dude. If I go 3 days, that's when the like, rabid dog thing starts to take over my mind and I start to lose it. I can't think about my business. I can't think about like my kids. All I think about is just intercourse. And it'll be like a struggle to keep my mind on my vision, on my goals, on everything else.
yeah.
Um, because like my mind will get distracted all the time.
Hmm.
Random
So
girl at the gym who's not even attractive, who's nowhere near as hot as my wife. I'm like, oh my God. Like, it sucks, dude.
yeah, so my point is like I made this video on like just have a conversation, but also think about what you're doing for your wife to get her in the mood.
Mm-hmm.
Um, are you a provider? Is she in a safe and secure place? Because women biologically they don't want to reproduce if they're in fight or flight. They just have
Mm-hmm.
too much cortisol going. But in your relationship, you guys been together 10 years. It's a pretty long time. What is it that I guess you guys have either talked to or what do you guys do to just ensure that there is that like 3 to 4 times every week consistently outside of we just had a baby?
I mean, we've talked about it a lot. We have very open communication about it.
Hmm.
Because my sex drive is like 3 times what hers is. I
Okay.
would say like on like a normal level, which isn't
Hmm.
like that for all women.
Hmm.
Like I've seen my buddy Brandon have girlfriends that are like 2, 3 times a day. And you're like, what, dude? 2, 3 times a day? Like, yeah, like they're
But is it
chasing
also
him
10
down.
years later or is it during
No,
that
but it is like
honeymoon
2, 3
phase?
years later though.
Okay.
Yeah, it was just pretty wild.
Hmm.
Like, um, but that's just not my wife. That's not who I fell in love with. So,
Hmm.
would that be cool? Like, yeah, dude, sweet. But that's not who I fell in love with. I fell in love with a woman that like has a sex drive to go 3, 4 times a week. Um, and so we talk about it and she knows now just from us having open, vulnerable conversations,
Yeah.
she can like see it in my energy almost, in my aura. She's like, this dude hasn't gotten laid in too long. Like, he just needs it, dude. Like, we'll go to bed and I'm like, I need to wake up early tomorrow. It's going to be really, really early morning. And like, she'll roll over and like take advantage of me. I'm like, cool. I guess we're
Cool.
doing this, dude.
Yeah.
And then I know enough, um, hormonal science to know that whatever it takes, to like for us to orgasm, say it's 15, 30 minutes, whatever, that quality of sleep's better than anything you could have done anyway. So like, there's no reason to even use sleep as an excuse because your quality of sleep, like your hormones will be better after you orgasm anyways.
True.
And if
Yes.
you're a guy, you're probably orgasming every single time. Like only downside is if you're a girl because sometimes you don't.
Yeah. So that was actually going to lead into my next question of what advice would you give to a man getting her blood work done, getting her hormones level? Where's her testosterone, progesterone, estrogen levels? Like, especially when people are getting into their mid 30s, late 30s, or even entering their 30s, so they know what that optimum level is in their body for when they're hitting menopause and if they do any hormone therapy replacement. I guess, what are your thoughts on that?
Most of the lack of sex drive I've seen in women, especially ones that I've worked with,
Hmm.
um, has nothing to do with like hormones being out of alignment. It has to
Okay.
do with self-esteem, self-confidence.
Ooh, I could
Um,
see that.
so if they don't feel sexy, they don't want to get naked. They don't want to have sex. And so usually after a couple of months in our program and they've dropped a ton of body fat and they feel confident, that changes and they're ready to intercourse again, ready to get down.
They're releasing the tiger.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's more extreme cases, I would say, because we've dealt with a ton of clients. It's rarely hormonal. Even if you get a hormonal panel and it shows something, it's rarely that's like probably, the icing on the cake. The biggest thing is usually self-confidence. Like when they're naked, when they don't feel sexy and they don't want to, they're ashamed of themselves or something like that. Like some sort of, mental block that when they're accomplished and they feel good, it's taken care of. And like you said, just to reiterate the point, like if they don't feel safe, secure, and they're in fight or flight all the time, it's more difficult for them to have sex. So I know for my wife, like when on vacation, it's like 2-3 times a day, all the time, like before dinner, this, and that. There's no stress of work. There's no stress of anything else going on when you're on vacation. But when there's like a daily stress that goes through her head, those kind of things play into her actual like level of being turned on and everything else. Whereas like, I wouldn't quite say that that's a hormonal thing or she's getting older or younger or anything. But that's a big part. And then like, not to just pump you up and make you sound like a genius, but another thing is just putting focus on it and making sure that that's a big deal, because some couples don't talk about it. So even if the woman she does feel attractive and her hormones are optimized, like if they don't make it a big deal or a priority for them to have sex on a regular basis, then it doesn't get done. Doesn't get talked about, doesn't get focused on, doesn't get done. And that usually leads to issues too. Like I've talked with other friends, other guys, and I'm like, yo, that dude just needs to fuck his wife. Like they're having problems, they're yelling at each other, they're nipping each other, they're fucking like, they just need to fuck. Like that's it. And you think about like all the relationships that end bad or marriages that end in divorce. There's always a period of time, well, not always, most of the time that I've witnessed, there's a period of time where they're not having sex. Maybe it's months, maybe it's years, but like once the intercourse stops, usually, like that's a clear indicator that the relationship isn't going well.
Yeah. So what is one thing that you think that a man can do to ensure that his wife feels confident in her body?
It's tough because the man doesn't control those variables.
You don't think the man has an impact, though? A
He
positive
has
or
an
a negative
impact.
impact on how she feels
He doesn't
secure in her
control those
body?
variables. Those, um, a man making a woman feel secure in her body would mean that woman has an external locus. And so she's always seeking external validation. And that's fleeting. It's not real.
Yeah.
It all comes
Okay.
down to that woman's internal locus. What can she control? Her confidence. What a man can do is he can be supportive
Yeah.
and
Supportive.
he can inspire, like he can get in shape himself and feel confident about himself. Those things are all good. But if she doesn't believe that she looks good, no matter how many times you tell her she looks good, it's not going to matter.
Yeah,
Right?
because
Like,
there's gonna be that line where she's like, "You're fucking lying. I look disgusting naked, and I feel disgusting. I look in the mirror, and I'm just not a happy human."
yeah, we literally go through that right now.
Yeah.
My wife, 8 weeks after having her child, she's like, I look like shit. I look disgusting. And I'm like, no, like, you don't. Not to me. My words aren't going to change her. It doesn't matter. They might pump her up a little bit, but it's not going to change her mind. The only person that can do that is her. And I can't tell her to work out. I can't give her the workout. I can't have her eat the foods. I can't do anything. Like those are all things that she does on her own. Those are all under her level of control. I don't get to control those variables. I can be supportive. If she asks for help, I can help her. I can lead by example, make sure I'm fit. I eat
Yeah.
healthy food, make sure the house has healthy food. I can do all those other cool things. I can tell her how I feel and give her my, external validation, but I can't change her mind.
Yeah, but I think leading by example though is really important. Because I
Mm,
think, especially with men and women, I think if a man, let's just take a couple who's living in quiet desperation, they've been together a long time. They're the lucky if they have sex. Because the reason that it's once a week is because you have the people on the high end who are having sex a lot more, and you have people who are on the low end who are having sex way less than fucking once a week. That's how
yeah.
you come to the middle of once a
Yeah.
week. So let's say the bottom half of that once a week. If the man decides to change his life, get in shape, start reading books, improve his mental state, more likely than not that woman will follow. But I think if a woman decides to change, get in shape, eat healthy, there's a far less likelihood that a man will.
I don't believe that to be true.
You don't.
Mm-mm.
You think that if you took two groups of people, we'll just say 50 and 50 couples, that if the woman is the one who makes the decision to improve the quality of her life, the same likelihood of men will follow the women versus the other 50 couples.
I've seen it happen
Okay.
like numerous
Dive
times.
in. Dive into
I've had
that.
a wife sign up for Reset You,
Mm-hmm.
in pain, out of shape. She loses a quick 15 pounds, feels confident in herself, loves the way she looks, has a supportive husband who also just starts to eat the same way she does, drops 5 pounds on his own, signs up with us too. It happens so often, so often. Like, I could name 5 people on our client list right now where the female signed up the male. And it's awesome. It's so cool. Like, not the female signed up the male, but she inspired the male.
Mm-hmm.
Like, she got results first, and then he was inspired and did it again. Um, I don't think it matters who inspires who. It's it's almost like you need to see it happen first before you can believe it. In male or female, that belief system of I'm overweight, I'm obese, I don't feel good, I have pain, it's difficult to break. So whoever it is,
Mm-hmm.
the husband or the wife, um, breaks that pattern and creates that catalyst in your mind that it's possible. And at Reset You, it happens really fast. Um, they get to see it happen faster than their expectations. The whole system of like what's possible and what needs to go in for this to happen breaks their mind because they've just been proven wrong.
Mm-hmm.
Well, like, I thought you had to do all this cardio and all these workouts and eat nothing but lettuce for a month. Well, no, like this person's eating a crap ton of food. They're eating like steak and potatoes and all these amazing foods. And they're only lifting weights 3 times a week. And they're not doing cardio and they're dropping all this weight. They've lost 10, 15 pounds in a month. Like, that's inspiring to anybody. Male, female, it doesn't matter. I've had it the other way around too, where the male inspires the female. Um, but weirdly enough, it's like the opposite. Like, my experience has been the opposite. I don't have data for you,
Yeah.
but it's almost like less likely because the guy does it. He's like pushing the wife, and then there's a resistance there where she doesn't want to be pushed.
Gotcha.
And so I've always given or like there's a resentment of like, oh, he's getting in shape. What's he getting in shape for? Um, what I've found is if a partner makes a change, male or female, husband or wife, or even female and female, or male and male, if one partner makes a change, they're like a different person.
Mm-hmm.
And so that same person, if their partner doesn't change with them, they don't love each other anymore because they're different people.
Yeah.
The person that didn't change did not sign up for this person to change. They signed up for the original person.
Mm-hmm.
They didn't sign up for this changed person. So it's not their fault if you're improving. Um, or like our version of improving, like, cause our view of improving is being healthy, being fit. Like, that's not everybody's view of improving.
True.
But that first person, they didn't sign up for that. Maybe they signed up for video games and pizza. You know,
Yeah.
like those are values. You're allowed to have them. Fine. They either change together or they change apart.
Mm-hmm.
Either one. And it's never, let me think before I say that. Yeah. I've never seen it happen where one person has a dramatic change in their body. The other one doesn't and they stay together.
I would agree with that.
It's either they both make a change and they fall in love together and they both like, they both rocket ship to both their goals, or one is like very, very, very uncomplimentary to this other person's habit changes, to the point where it's like they're not helping and they're almost resentful, and they get a divorce or they break apart or they start to question their own value. And this other person is questioning their value. Like, hey, like I look hot now. Hot guys or hot girls are hitting on me all the time. Like, it's not the same person that they fell in love with. It's not the same agreement that they both met as people.
Mm-hmm.
So like for me, my parents were divorced, and I remember I've only had two girlfriends my entire life, and both of them, because I don't want to cheat on a girl. So like, if I'm not with a girlfriend, I don't have to cheat on them. Um, and like, both girlfriends, I was thinking in my head, like, is this the girl that I can marry? Is her growth pattern the one that I want to go marry?
Mm-hmm.
Because I know that they're going to change. I know they're evolving. And my wife, Brianna, has the growth pattern where like her trajectory is what I want to marry for the rest of my life. I don't ever want to change. And like, I want to go to heaven and be with her because we're
Yeah.
on the same path. And I've seen like my own father where he changed his life, improved his life, financially and in the community. And like my mom didn't want that. Like they broke apart because she didn't want to go to galas. She didn't want to wear fancy dresses. Like she didn't want to be in the public eye, and started sabotaging too, like on a subconscious level. It's not her fault, but like she didn't sign up for all that improvement.
Mm-hmm.
And it's tough because you and me are both guys that like seek out self improvement, almost like an addiction. Like I want to get better, I want to get better, I want to get better, I want to get better.
Yeah.
I had to make sure that my wife is on that same trajectory, dude. Like,
Yeah.
because if she's not, then we're not going to be together very long.
Yep.
And our interests have to be in alignment, dude. Like my wife and I don't watch a ton of TV. Like we barely ever drink, maybe like once a year. Like we don't do drugs, maybe like once a year. Like our lives are what most people would call pretty vanilla. Like we're both dorks that just focus on work and our kids. That like growth pattern has to be the same with both of us.
Yes. I think that is so important. I use the reference of being yoked, making sure that you guys are yoked in life. Like, so you guys are just going parallel,
Yeah.
wherever it is that the journey is, but that you guys are. Otherwise, you just will split off, exactly like you said. Then one's on one trail, the other one's on another. And I'm lucky that I have a wife who she has a growth mindset. She wants to know about the food we're eating and the investment that food is into our body. She wants to read books. She's listening to podcasts. She doesn't listen to any of that stuff for entertainment. She listens to it for knowledge on how to make an improvement into our life, make sure it's beneficial to our life. My wife won't even listen to a single thing of politics because she's like, if I can't change that, if that isn't going to make a direct impact in our life, I don't want to hear it.
And she's also super hot, and I think she's a good mom too. I don't know
She's
that to be true,
she's
but
an
she seems like
awesome
a good
mom.
mom.
Yeah, no, she is. She is. She's freaking amazing.
Yeah, you literally married a Disney princess.
Literally married Cinderella.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, dude, that's so cool.
Yeah.
You get to tell people that. Literally married a Disney princess.
Yeah,
I do the same thing. I tell people like, I married a doctor. Like, what else do you want?
Yeah, I married a doctor.
Yeah.
So talking about marriage, what do you think the key to marriage is? Key to a successful marriage. And then in a couple years
Like if there's
we'll
one,
just any. And then in a couple of years we'll do another pod and we'll revisit and see if you've checked and adjusted.
if I get one, I would say an outward focus. Because obviously you have to love the other
Mhm.
person. Um, and you have to like have chemistry and you got to be able to like have intercourse on a regular basis, have similar goals, all the other stuff we talked about. But I feel like the one major component would be an outward focus. Because if you're an inward focused individual, you're always worried about your problems and how hard everything is. Um, you get wrapped up in your own shit
Mhm.
and you're not outward focused. You're not noticing that this person needs help or this person needs this, or you're not thinking about that person outwardly. It's very difficult to have a relationship.
Okay, I like that. That does sound good. I like my answer is usually make sure you're extremely attracted to them.
On a physical or an emotional level.
Oh, it's just kind of like a more of an icebreaker answer, because it's like, oh yeah, that makes sense, or people will laugh. But I think I think both.
I don't think you're wrong though. Like
Yeah,
I think that they do have to be attracted. You have to be attracted to your spouse all the time.
yeah. Like for mine, physically very attracted to my spouse, and then emotionally, just like the energy that she gives off when I see her, or like her smile, and just like that energy and looking into her eyes, it's like I'm fucking addicted. I can't get
Yeah, she
enough
has
of
a
that.
good. Your wife has a good energy.
Yeah, I'm just
She's a
like,
very positive person.
and you know how they're like, women will say, like, oh my gosh, that baby's so cute. I just want to eat it up. Okay. Cause those like two parts of our brain are next to each other.
Hmm.
I get her in a hug and I just want to like bear fucking hug, squeeze the shit out of her. And just like every day. And she's, yeah, I just can't get enough of her energy and the physical. Yeah, it is my addiction.
Yeah, I would agree. I think that's a very powerful one. The attraction.
Hmm.
I've seen relationships that last the longest with the people that have an outward focus. I think you can be more vulnerable too and have better conversations if you're outwardly focused. Because then you can ask questions and actually care about the person and like figure out what they're going through. And so it opens up communication easier. And you're aware
Yeah,
of more things.
and communication, being willing to listen to your partner.
Not willing. I mean, that's fucking baseline shit. Interested enough to want to listen.
Yeah,
Like
you're
that's like,
actually,
yeah, you want to hear what your partner has to say.
yeah, you want to
Not willing.
hear.
Like that sounds like a fucking chore. Like I legitimately want to know what my wife has to
Hmm.
say.
Yes.
When she's holding back, I'm like, dude, you gotta tell me. I don't know what to fix if you don't tell me. Like, I can't be a better husband for you. I can't be a better father if you don't tell me these things. I gotta know.
So I do a thing with my wife where if she's in a high stress situation and she comes and talks to me, it's like, do you want me to solve your problem or do you want me to listen? And we've gotten to the point, there's that fucking bubble thing again. We've gotten to the point where she'll just tell me and she knows, and there's nothing weird about it. She'll be like, no, I want you to fix this thing that I'm about to rant to you about for 5 minutes. Or I just want you to listen to what I'm about to rant to you about for 5 minutes. And I think that's important because sometimes if guys will always want to either fix or just might listen and be like, all right, what do you want me to do about that? So communication, like you were saying, I think is just so important in a really solid relationship and just going over those things.
Yeah.
With this information, do you want me to solve the problem or just listen and be there for you?
I don't honestly like. I'm even like 3 steps farther ahead of that, dude. Like, I
Give
just
us another
listen
step.
and have an outward focus. And then sometimes I know the answer to the problem and I'm willing to let her fail and figure it out on her own so that she can have the growth.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Because if I keep solving problems, I get the growth. I'm stealing her growth. You have to, like, growth comes from pain and discomfort on this plane of existence. So if I'm constantly taking away the pain and discomfort, she don't grow. And I don't want to steal that from her. That's not fair. So like,
So where's the point where she's your Pippin and you're Jordan and you're giving her the assist though?
when she asks for it,
Okay.
yeah, I don't even, I don't, I don't offer it anymore. I'm too good at coaching people, dude.
Too good.
I'm too good at coaching people. I'm too good at sales. I'm too manipulative naturally. None of those things are good for your wife. She doesn't want to be manipulated. She doesn't want her husband to be your coach. And she doesn't want to fucking know it all. Even if I know a lot of shit, she doesn't want that. She wants a supportive husband who understands her and understands what she wants. And to be honest, dude, she wants to fuck up and fail on her own and learn her own shit.
Yeah.
When she says, hey, he has knowledge that I need, she'll come and ask. Like, I don't have to do that shit. It's like relinquishing control and letting her do it. Like we do with kids. Like, gotta let Jolene fall down and scrape her fucking knees up real good.
Yeah.
Learn on her own. Gotta let her fucking fall off the table, knock her head on the ground, and then learn, like, I gotta stop being a dickhead when I'm dancing around the table. Like, those things, she's gotta learn on her own. I can't
Totally
fucking learn
agree.
them for her. I can't keep doing that. I'm just gonna steal her growth every single time. And for the first part of our relationship, my wife, who's a fucking go-getter, doctor of physical therapy, just a fucking badass. I paid for everything. Anything that would come up, I'd fix the mistake. I'd correct everything. And I dwarfed her progress, you know? Like, part of this is we need to grow together. And so for me to do that, I gotta stop enabling her. I gotta let her, like, grow.
Yeah.
Let her make the mistake.
So I want to kind of go back. How much time do you guys spend just yourselves away from the kids? Do you guys do anything like that? As far as communication?
Like 3 hours a day.
Just YouTube? Is it about business or just personal whatevers?
All of it.
Yeah.
Where are we at? What's our plan? What are we grateful for? All that shit. We have a newborn though. So like 3 hours is like a lot for us right now a
Yeah,
day.
yeah.
And we live together and we both work from home.
Mhm.
3 hours is like, we gotta, hopefully both babies sleep at the same time.
Mhm.
And then they take a nap and hopefully they both sleep same time at night. And sometimes we'll talk during the kids being there, but like necessity. But yeah, I would say at the least 1 hour, the most three, usually
Every day.
three. Yeah.
Yeah. And is it it's I assume because it's while they're sleeping, it's kind of a scheduled thing. Like it's with intent that we are going to spend this time.
No,
No?
it's scheduled like, we'll do like a monthly meeting where we need to like figure out our schedule for the month and like figure
Mhm.
out like what we're doing for our goals. And like every quarter we'll have goals where we talk about and that's scheduled, but like we just do it as a habit, not as an intentful thing.
Gotcha. What about like calendaring? So like my wife, my calendar is on her phone. And if
Yeah.
she sees that there's a time block that I have that's empty, she will put her name and then what it is that she wants us to do so that she has access to my calendar and she can put in anything in my calendar.
Yeah, we have that too. And we have a
Yeah.
wall calendar too because we got to double it up.
We got a wall calendar. She does a monthly wall calendar and we have a year calendar. I'm looking up for those of who are just listening because I have a whole year calendar where we have things on there, which is pretty cool. You gotta go. All right. Let's freaking wrap it up right here.
I'm sorry.
No, dude, don't be sorry. Hold on. I'm going to hit stop.